everyone, and welcome back to my circle. I'm Kamari Creative, and I'm so glad that you are back. We are back with another Poet Chats replay. Back from 2019, I had the honor of interviewing and meeting for the first time virtually Sheila J, author of Birthday Girl. I love this interview. It was such a pleasure getting to meet her and all the cool things that Sheila is doing. Be ready to jot some information down, and I hope you all enjoy. Thank you again. Hi.
Hi. Oh, this is awesome.
Isn't it? It's so cool. Lovely to meet you.
So nice to meet you, like kind of officially, kind of
Yeah,
not.
I just got to tell everyone I stalk you on Instagram, so I think you're amazing.
Thanks.
And I'm so,
Ah.
thank you for saying yes. I was like, I had many tears. I was like, oh my God, she said yes.
Oh.
I was like, oh no, I can't get her. I don't know. She might not say yes. And then he said yes, and I was like, I was so excited. I did it.
I really admire the project that you're doing. I think it's really cool. I was like looking and I was like, every single day you interview like a poet, and I was like, that is commitment.
And it
That is
really
like,
it's commitment, and it definitely hits. Like this week, the halfway point is when it really hits. So I'm like, okay, but it's just a contribution because I know it's a thing to write a poem every day of the month, and I was like, no, I know way too many poets. Let's bring them on here. Let's talk. So
get us out of our little holes that we like throw ourselves in.
Yes, definitely. Well, for those that are meeting you for the first time, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Just a little introduction.
Ooh, I love these because I'm so bad at them.
Yeah.
My name's Sheila. I'm a poet, a writer, spoken word person. I'm Iranian American, and I talk a lot about being Iranian American. I talk a lot about love. I talk a lot about mental health. Yeah,
Well, what she's not going to tell you, which I'm going to tell, is that she's an amazing slam poet and has competed nationally, and she has a book coming out with NotACult Press, which are
hopefully
both huge like endeavors, and huge congratulations to you on all of that.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
tell us, like, for those, I don't think I've had a slam poet on yet, and so tell us about that whole,
the journey.
journey of competing. Like, it's one thing to write it and just have it for yourself and maybe share it at open mic, but then there's like another side where you have to like get rated for it.
Yeah, so there's a difference. Like I would say performance poetry is an umbrella, and spoken word is like kind of there too, is like basically the same thing, and slam poetry is the competitive form of spoken word and performance poetry. So when people say like slam poet, or they're gonna do some slam poetry and it's an open mic, it's in technicality a little incorrect, which I hear a lot. But slam poetry is a competition. It has usually canonically like 3 rounds, and you're judged by strangers on a scale of 1 to 10 during a slam, and you have 3 minutes to perform. And it's a very hi. I like to say hi to all the people.
I know, right?
Hello, welcome. How you doing? So slam is just like very competitive, and then you get more. That's more individual, and then you get into like teams, like slam teams. So you could do individual slams and win individually, or you can join teams where you can do group pieces and individual pieces to get through each round, and then you have not like competitions that are like regional or national or local, that kind of have teams or are individual, and they turn into kind of festivals in a way, like conferences. Like anytime I try to get time off work to go to one of them, I'm like, I'm going to a conference. Like it's for my work. It's like true. It's really like informative, and a lot of the people in the slam community like just have so much education and so much knowledge bestow upon us. And there's a ton of workshops with these competitions too that happen.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
So tell us about like writing the poem and then choosing which one to do. Like, how do you know, like, this is the poem right here, I'm gonna win with this? How do you know?
For like a competition?
Yes.
For competitions or okay, so for competitions, ooh, I'm not the best at speaking to it because I did compete and I have like placed in a couple, but I definitely I have people in my circle that are much wiser than I am. The way that I personally pick is I honestly, it's kind of terrible. It's you kind of want the bubblegum poppy ones or the ones that you know are going to hit really hard or that are going to make an impact on the crowd in any way. So sometimes you want to do crowd pleasers or things that you know are going to score well because it's very much a game. It's not like it is an artistic expression, but it is also a game. It is also a competition, which brings out another side of performance poetry and poets because we're all really like all about the art, and then slam comes in and we're like competitive and a different side of us comes out in a way. So I think I usually pick poems that I feel like are gonna have bangers or like have lines that people are gonna be like. But you see the slam scene kind of changing and kind of going more into things that also challenge what we think slam is. So I like to just keep my eye on it.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. I did my first slam last year. Now, it was an amateur slam and it was frightening, but it was cool. It was really, really good. And
it's super scary.
It is so scary.
Yeah.
So I admire you in that. So talk to us about your book that's coming up. Tell us a little bit about it. Well, if you have a title, if not, but mostly about your poetry and compiling all those poems together and submitting.
Yeah. At like a really beautiful time because it's like it's definitely a time right now where there's a lot of compiling happening and a lot of like zooming out and kind of looking at what I want to like put together and how I want it to look. I think for me personally, so the book, I've been working on it for, I want to say like over 2 years now, and like the concept of it came to me a year ago. So I submitted to the competition 2 years ago for the NotACult, the first annual NotACult poetry book competition. And this is a strange story and super tangent, but I didn't really know that it was a book contest the first time. I just thought they were doing like a journal publication.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was for a book. And then I was a finalist. I selected a finalist, and that time around, they had us write a manuscript or put together a manuscript in a month and then submit it, and then they chose winners from there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and as someone who wasn't my thing, didn't even know it was gonna it was a book contest, I was like, oh boy, like gotta put a book together now. And I was also traveling abroad, so I had a very whirlwind experience of putting a book together. But I ultimately, obviously, like I didn't get it, but I actually think it was a really amazing learning opportunity because I learned what a book actually is for poetry. It's not you throwing poems together. The strongest ones are stories. The strongest ones all layer up on each other, and they all speak to each other in different ways. And like there's a purpose behind it. That's why it takes years to put them together. So it gave me, and it made me realize, like, dang, like I need to write more poems because I don't have a consistent writing habit. I have a observe and inspire habit. like read a book, read some poems, and then all of a sudden something will pop, so I realized like I need to practice and get better and like write more consistently. And so with this book, I can't really I can only speak to like how it's going. Hello. I can only speak to mainly what it has been on my end, which has been I knew kind of the story, like this is kind of how I've described it to people. It's kind of ridiculous, but YOLO. Have you ever seen like the reality TV show I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant? It's
I saw
really like,
maybe one episode. I'm familiar with it though.
yeah, it was like on TLC or something. It's literally like it's a show where like women don't know that, or like people with uteruses like don't know that they're pregnant, and they like give birth like and they don't know. And that's how it like I don't think like you're a poet until you like write a book. I
Mm-hmm.
like I or like you know that you have to write a book as a poet. I've
Yeah.
never been that way. When it happens, it happens. And I was just in my shower as inspiration comes, and I thought of the title of the book, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I didn't know I was pregnant, and all of a sudden I was like, all of a sudden there was a book, because I the title is it's a working title, so it might change, which is totally fine, but it's called Birthday Girl,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's I was like I could write a lot about that.
Yeah.
I could write a lot about that thing. I could write a lot, and I knew the story behind it already
Mm.
in a way. So right now the challenges that I face with putting the book together is mainly like seeing what fits the story, because now that I've learned from the past that like putting a book together is about telling a story.
Mm.
It's different. Not all the poems that I love or that I think are important to me are going to make it in there because they don't fit the story. There's a lot of poems I need to write in order to fit that story. So it's definitely like it. It's a different level of
Mhm.
challenges than like slam, where you're just like, what hits? Oh, that's my sister. Hi, sis.
I
Um,
got a question in. I got a couple of questions actually.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
I don't know if you can see it, but I'll read it out loud. Have you experienced a poem being for the page and not for the stage, or the other way around?
Hmm. I'm kind of like the way I think about it personally, and I kind of take this. Oh, hi. I kind of take this experience. I think I've heard this from Jessica Salgado, who's like a mentor of mine, and Alicia Wise and Matthew Cuban. I've heard it from a lot of like poets I really, really admire,
Mm.
and it's the idea that like every poem can fit a page in some way, and every poem can fit a stage. I think there is a way that you just have to find it, in my personal opinion. And like I know a lot of page poets who they do readings, and it's a totally different like experience. You know what I mean? I don't think I've ever seen a poem that was good for a stage and not for a page. You know, I always, and even if that was the case, I feel like that's just more of a challenge than it is an impossibility.
Hmm. And the next question that came up is, what is your response to people who say slam poetry isn't honest poetry?
Hmm. I have to think about that. Hmm. What, like, people saying that slam poetry isn't honest poetry?
Yeah, what is your response to people who say slam poetry isn't honest poetry?
I'm trying to like digest, because like I immediately felt anger, but then I was like,
Right,
reflect.
right.
Like,
I've never
reflect.
heard that though. I've never heard.
I've never heard that either. I feel like I've personally never heard that, but what I do, for some reason, again, like Jessica, my homegirl, she says something. I've heard it actually with like again, like all the poets I hang out with. They say like you're not supposed to just like slam works in certain places like that. Like slam, like we are as people like complex, multifaceted beings.
Mm.
So we can take up the space of slam poetry and all the pluses and minuses that come with that, and we can also do performance poetry and learn all of that. I know a lot of like Amin Batra, who's like, ugh, my heart. She started off in slam poetry, and then she kind of dipped out of it because she loved what it taught her, but she wanted to grow elsewhere. You know what I mean? So I think when people say slam poetry isn't honest poetry, I think they're speaking to the fact that there is a way that slam poetry is packaged and presented because of the competition that makes it feel dishonest, and that sometimes in like any sort of like, how do I explain this? Like any sort of like industry, there's going to be bad apples. There are people who are going to take advantage of the systems and the cycles, even within slam. So yeah, sometimes there will be coaches and writers who are not being honest at all. And that is more of like a, you know, that's more of a them thing. That's a more of an ethics thing than it is anything else. I think that there are slam poets who are honest. I mean, I've seen them, you know.
Yeah, I agree. That one is complex. And when I heard, or not heard it, when I saw this question, I guess I thought about the whole idea that you're crafting this piece because oh, this one's gonna win, or this one's gonna. So I think that's probably what that means. That it's not honest because it's crafted in a sense to get, like, emotional play on people, play with their emotions, but I guess it's a competition. What this is. Like, you're not going
even with performance, it's kind of the same way. Even with performance, storytelling is an attempt to evoke emotion from other people in order to strike empathy. It is a form of manipulation, but manipulation is language. Manipulation is like neutral, but it is the intent of the person who is explaining it, where manipulation can turn positive or negative. So if they're manipulating people through deceit or through their own personal gain of that sort, then that's kind of negative. But if they're manipulating in order to strike empathy, to tell a story, to have you connect with them or other people, or connect with yourself, then I think that's where the line is. It was when you were saying, like, because it's packaged a certain way, I think of like different glasses. Like you have wine glasses, and you've got mason jars, and you've got other cups and mugs and things, but you're still like pouring water in it. Like you're still pouring a liquid in it, and the liquid is just taking the shape of the cup. So like whatever the artistic element is, that's the water part. And then the cup is just like slam poetry, a book, like all these things. It's just liquid filling the cup.
Said like a true poet. Definitely.
Everyone says they talk metaphors, so I'm trying to slow down, but it's the only way it makes sense.
It's the only way it makes sense. I'm not mad at that at all. So I've been asking every poet that has been visiting the PoetChats is, according to Sheila, what is the job? I love when you do that.
Hello.
That is adorable. Okay. According to Sheila, what is the job of the poet?
That is like, ooh, it's a beautiful question, but it's it's so scary to answer.
So scary.
Because it's like it feels like I'm speaking for like all the poets ever, when I can only like speak for myself.
You can speak for yourself. Definitely.
The job of as of late, because I think it changes over time, if I could